And Vachi will join us as soon as we get started in three, two.
We're online. Okay. Yeah, welcome everyone to the Toku Portal podcast. It's me, Zero, here with.
Right. And welcome to the podcast for Kamen Rider Blades. Not Kamen Rider Blade, the rider from 2004. No, Blades as in the secondary rider of Saber.
Yeah, pretty much right.
We could not have picked a better time to do this because
Yeah,
his entire arc just fell perfectly into this 4 episode span.
um, yeah. That being said, this does have that one problem. I'm like, oh great, the fucking month we decide to hold off on doing the podcast is when the show gets really good.
I still prefer this though because we can just talk about Rentero's entire character growth in one go.
It's true. Uh, I mean, well, let's put it like this: like 29. Okay, so we're covering episodes 29 to 32, right?
Yep.
So yes. So in 29, Rentaro decides to leave the southern base, or like basically like the yeah, let's just go with the southern base because like he's technically still part of the swordsman, but he's part of the
He's
northern base.
he
But
he
like he's not part of the main organization.
he
So let's
yeah
just go with he
he
left the
he's
southern
leaving
base.
the official organization and joining the Toma Club.
Yeah, pretty much right. So he left the southern base. Episode uh 30 and 31 are two-parter about where May becomes a monster, right? And 32 is
He finally like achieves his character goal with he settles his fight with his nemesis.
yeah, but I mean like that is yeah, I guess that's true. I was going to say oh right, 32 is like when the northern base is under attack.
Right.
Uh, yeah, that's basically what I mean. Like, yeah, it's this is basically the four-episode Retro trilogy. I mean, four parts. Actually, it's not true because like episode 28 is a Retro episode too. So it's this like a five-part
Yep.
Retro mini arc.
But I don't remember what happened in that episode.
Well, it's just basically setting up for what happens in episode
Right. I think
20 29.
was 28 when Toma finally like befriended Primordial Dragon.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, and Rintaro saw him do that and realized Toma's potential. And so at the start of 29, he's telling May like, "All right, I'm sold. I
Yeah,
want to be Toma's friend. I want to fight alongside him again."
it's true. I mean, like I'll be honest, like before this, the show was decent. I feel like these four episodes are like really solid. Like I would say like even I mean like good. Yeah, I'll go with good. Great depends on your taste. Um if you would consider this great or not, but I consider these definitely good episodes. Um the one actually amazing thing about this four is like there's a bunch of fights. Every single fight is interesting. Every single fight is well done, which is fucking crazy for this show. I mean, the show does do that one trope of like, okay, we got nothing, so let's just go fucking yeah, let's just we can't really talk this out, so let's just fight it out. Right? I'm like, okay, show. That's like an okay shonen trope, right? Or JRPG trope or whatever. But I'm like, literally Thomas fart every single member. And I'm like, I I guess that makes sense, but when you like literally have them back to back to back, it's like, oh, okay. So we've run out of ideas, but we're doing this. Weirdly, it works really well, but I'm like, just becomes it feels a little weird, you know?
Yeah.
Like it,
Toma's role in this show is the weird one because he's your typical shonen protagonist where he's the best or has the potential to be the best. But in this context, that is literally his entire role.
Yeah, I mean, which is a very shonen thing, like where it's like there's like a couple different types of shonen protagonists, but like the one like Toma is, it's like he's really strong, but like he makes his supporting cast better by fighting them, sort of. So it's like, yeah, this is like not the most typical shonen thing, but it's like this is like the second or third most common shonen trope, right? So it's like it's not out of the blue. It's just weird for writer. It's like this is gonna be one of those things where it's like, you know how like every writer kind of gets like a meme because they do it so much, right? Where it's like, you know, like Ryuki, it's like the Tatakai meme, right? Where it's like, oh, what? Something happens and it just cuts to like, oh, freaking Odin just standing in a mirror, just starting that guy, right? In like, I'm pretty much betting at this point, like it's just gonna be like, oh, something happened in Saber. It's like, oh yeah, better have a sword fight, you know, right? Like, oh no, 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 not with the enemy, with my friends. It's like, can we plan this out?
got,
No, fuck it, sword fight, go.
gotta
It'll
find my
work out.
friends to
The
prove
world's
they're my friends.
oh my god, like the funniest. Oh man, the there's like so many jokes I can say about Rentro where like the May one, I'm like, oh my god, it's like, yeah, that's right, go fight your husbando to save your waifu. Um because oh my god, that like episode fucking 30 and 31 is just like, okay, it's really good, but it's like the most fucking trope heavy thing out of this show. And I'm like, oh fuck! This is just like memes the episode. I mean, like not in a bad way, but in like, oh, not memes. I mean like tropes the episode, where it's like every single thing you do is like a trope, but like it's done well enough that I'm like, fuck, I can't even get mad at this. Um, oh, I don't know, man. Also, I think like one thing I've noticed about Saber is like, or maybe at least like this newer half, you know, like not maybe I'm not sure about the first half of the show because like fuck it, I'm not gonna go back and watch that. Um, but like the second half definitely feels better. Like it feels better when you marathon it because it's one of those things where it's like, oh, the arcs, the episodes just flow into each other so well that it's like, if I was watching this week to week, maybe I would have more complaints. But watching like literally all four episodes back to back, they're like so well, like it flows so damn well. And like you said, it's basically the Rentaro arc. Um, yeah. Also, that episode 32 is like, holy fuck,
It's
shit
really
gets
good.
crazy. But yeah, yeah, it's real crazy. Also, like probably, I don't know if the nicest writer form ever, but definitely probably the nicest secondary writer form I've ever seen.
It's
Right?
really good.
Yeah. Like, okay, the belt's a little questionable, but even then, out of all the fucking
I
Guardia
I don't
Saber belts, I don't hate it.
you mean the like the spinning snowflake?
Yeah, I mean, like, that's what I'm saying. It's the chunky ass book, but even they somehow managed to make it like, it looks elegant enough. Like it's a little bulky, so I'm like, I wish this was not this. But I'm like, okay, this show's gimmick is like just has this bulk built into it because of the books, and then the damn like belts are so bulky. So I'm like, I wish this was like maybe not this bulky, but like honestly, in motion, I don't even care because that suit altogether is so nice. Like fucking Saber has like really nice suits. But like
Like
that thing is a whole different level.
like you're talking about his belt. I was looking at his hair.
Oh, okay. I actually like the hair.
It's really good.
Yeah, I
That
mean, I always like rider forms with like hair. Well, I mean, as long as it's like not super dirt cheap, where it's like, okay, man, like you could have gone for a slightly nicer wig, but in this, like the hair is so good. I feel like this is kind of like X8 continuing, where it's like since X8, we've started adding a ton of crazy shit into Rider, and like all the like experimentation and like all the bulky and non-bulky forms and like the eyes and the gimmicks and like the hair and the cape and everything else was like experimenting up till this point where I feel like this form is batshit crazy for a writer form. Like this should not work, right? But they've done this so much at this point that they've figured out a way to make it work, which is actually kind of amazing, right? Because first of all, it's a secondary writer, and it's a secondary writer with his third major power up, or I mean third major form. So he has like base form, then he has powered up form. This is like the third major one, right? Which is rare enough on its own. But usually, whenever like a secondary writer just gets like another power up, it's like, oh, let's just strap random crap to it, right? I mean, he might
Peace.
get enough. Yeah, yeah, that's what I was thinking, right? Like I was thinking. I mean, like Snipe is kind of weird too because like it's the whole
I
Kentai collection thing.
I mean,
But I'm like, he kind of works.
like it's a game of Battleship, and he is the ship. I get
Yeah, yeah,
it.
yeah. Sure, right. Um, but I fucking love that. Whoever designed that, like, that is amazing.
So, uh, Rentaro, he agrees to join Toma, but he needs to settle some things with the organization first. I.e., find out who the traitor he's supposed to be fighting is. Uh, After spying on Shindai Reika, he discovers where she's been keeping Sophia and realizes, oh, Reika's the traitor. He immediately goes and reports this to Master Logos, who goes, what are you talking about? Reika's done everything I asked her to.
Yeah, I mean, that's okay. First of all, good job. At least you figured out where Sophia was. Honestly, I feel like the worst part of the show is like Master of Logos. Like his acting is so hammy, right?
I,
It's so over the top. It
I
almost
thought that
kind
was
of
the
ruins it.
point. Like, he's a
Yeah,
cartoonish villain.
I know, but I'm like, I feel like you're supposed to be menacing. I don't get like any menace. You're like, oh, I'm just the bad guy,
I
and I'm like,
I never
I
interpreted him to be menacing. I always interpreted him to be power mad.
I know, but like he's supposed to have like an like I. Here's the thing, right? Like normally when you have this type of character, you should feel like, oh, they can fuck shit up. But all I feel like is like, okay, you're strong, but I'm like, there's no doubt that you're
I
gonna get your ass kicked. I know it's a writer show, and that's kind of normal, but
but
I
I
feel like
I don't think
I
that was
want.
supposed to be the point with him.
Oh, I know, but
Like,
it's like, how do you run an organization and get away with this? It just kind of like cheapens the world a little bit.
you just lie to everyone.
I know, but he's so bad at it.
Uh,
Right, and it's like he's so like, oh, okay, you figured it out, like you got like 1 ounce of a hint here, let me just feel like he's a Bond villain, like a bad Bond
so
villain,
okay, here's the thing.
which like
Uh,
I don't hate, but I'm like, I know that's what his character is, like I just
you're
wish they wouldn't have done it this
you're
way.
assuming he's trying to keep secrets. Like, here's the
uh,
thing. With Rentaro, like Rentaro has effectively become an unneeded pawn. So, go ahead, tell him everything. It's not gonna make a difference. Go ahead and gloat before you get rid of him. Brag about
right.
all your achievements before you kill him and take his sword.
uh, I guess, I mean, you know what the weirdest part was too is like, oh, you know how they set up like the sages and it just cuts to, yeah, those guys I killed them long ago.
Yeah, so Vashi's not gonna
I was
complain about that, so I will. What the fuck
okay,
was the
good.
point of introducing them?
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe they were gonna either one play a role and then it got changed, which is weird because this is like after, like it feels like they're including more people and more sets like going outside. So it's like there's no reason to include a group of people who you wouldn't be able to cast because of the pandemic, but like it seems like Japan's doing better, so like technically you should be more able to get more actors, so it doesn't make any sense. But yeah, you're right. It's like, what the fuck is the point? Unless they're gonna come into play for somewhere else.
Like as far back as we've seen Master Logos, they were not present, which means he got rid of them before we he was introduced to us. In fact,
Yeah,
because he got rid of them so that they wouldn't interfere with his plans, we can assume that he got rid of them as early as when Reika first appeared at Northern Base to plant the seeds of corruption. So, in theory, he got rid of them before the show even started. So,
yeah.
what was the point?
I don't know. That's what my point is. Like the way they're doing it, it's like there's no benefit at all to having those characters. Like I was like, oh, maybe they will like form some kind of like ultimate like trump card where like some like last ditch effort that like the northern base people will try to use them and like maybe overthrow master logos, but like again they don't mean anything. It's like that's so stupid, right? It's like
If if they
yeah, you're
were
right. It's like there's zero point in introducing them if they're dead already.
if
Like
they
if
were
they're not gonna have any power, what's the point?
right, if they were there like giving instruction and like laying down rules for Northern Base, like at the start of the show, then that would give us context for them. And then we see Master Logos take them out one by one. We'd see like, all right, now he's putting his evil plan into motion. That would be relevant.
Right. It's sort of like if they operated like the watchdogs in Garo, where it's like the Makai Knights in Garo, they get their orders from watchdogs, and like each region sort of has their own like watchdog, which like so like the council gives the orders to the watchdogs, and the watchdogs order the Makai Knights around, right? So it's like, oh, you get like different levels of bureaucracy and there's buffers and stuff. So like that could have worked, but you're right. It's like it's pointless unless like the only thing I see this is like, okay, so that means there were like what, like three or four stages, three, right?
Four.
Four. Okay, so there's four stages and Master of Logos, which means once Master of Logos is dead, there's a vacancy of 5 seats, right? So I'm like, oh, we're just setting up so like once Saber ends, like all our main heroes will just sit on the council to like fulfill the whole like Knights of the Round Table bullshit.
Yeah, I could see that.
Yeah, and I'm like, oh, like that's so fucking pointless. They could have done that anyway. Like, ugh, I don't know, man. Also, Vashi's not here, but like I wonder if he would have mentioned this. It's like, guess what? No tassel in the intro for like the last 4 episodes because he's been kidnapped.
I'm sure he's ecstatic.
Yeah. I do like how Yuri goes looking for him though.
Right, and it's a good excuse to write himself off the show because, hey, Toma needs to learn how to separate people from the Megiddo himself, and having Yuri around was a crutch.
Kind of. I mean, the weirdest part too is like then Blades can do it. Like, okay, that's a really good arc. I mean, like it's really interesting that he wants to learn to do it, but I'm like that just defeats the point of the sword.
What do you
Right?
mean?
Like what the fuck is the flame sword's power then? If it's
Uh,
not to be like it's the firstborn sword
the
that's a copy of
this
um
it's the
the
first
legendary,
copy of the Sword of Light.
right, which
But
means like
like all
it has a special power, and I thought like separating people was its special power, but
no,
that's not it.
like all subsequent swords are also copies. So in theory, they could all do that if you can awaken that true power within them. The thing that makes Flame Blade Reika so special is that its potential is higher than the others.
Honestly, that kind of makes it cheap. Like I wish it's just a Toma thing. Like
Yeah,
I
like
wish Toma.
Toma is effectively the chosen one that can unlock that power.
Yeah, I know, but the problem then becomes it's like, okay, this is one of those few times I want the chosen one to actually just have the chosen one power where it's like, oh, Blades gets it too. I'm like, yeah, he works really hard and he deserves that, but I'm like, I feel like it kind of cheapens his sword. That
Tom,
like, oh, what does the sword like unless the sword has another secret power, it's like what the fuck is the point? Because like Blades has water and separation, so it's like what the hell do you do, Toma? You got like fire. I'm like, okay. I mean, I guess it also explains because like before this, like the Megiddo were not fusing humans with books, so like the previous knights didn't, or yeah, the previous swordsmen didn't have to learn to do this.
Give it like 10 more episodes and we'll get Toma's final form and we'll see what the true potential, the power chosen one thing is.
I guess it's just I kind of wished if like he was the only one to do it, because then it would be like a struggle, because they're like, oh fuck, what happens if Toma's not here, right? And so it's like it puts more danger or stakes. Whereas like if everybody can just be the hero, like why even give this limit,
They can't
right?
just be the hero though. If they could, they would have done it already.
No, I know, but like as this show goes on, pretty soon it's like either all of them are gonna have it, or at least like every time the group splits into smaller groups, like one person will have this ability. Now there's three of them, right?
Why is that a bad thing?
No, it's because like story wise, like there's no tension at all now, because it's like, okay, normally when a rider defeats a monster, their effect deactivates anyway. It's like, why even put this limitation?
Okay,
If everybody can just deactivate the
I see,
limitation and
I
it just
see.
turns into a, yeah, if it turns into a normal rider show, like what's the point?
So, uh, that whole thing about like the Megiddo being something that need to be separated from the humans is played out at this point, and the
Yeah, it's
show is
true.
moving on from it. It was introduced as a basically as a tool to introduce Yuri to the show and show how much more skilled he is than the others because he has so much more experience than them, and how Toma, despite being the rookie, is catching up to him quickly at a rate that he will eventually exceed that power.
Yeah, that makes sense. I just wish like this is like as good as these are. I just like structurally, I wish they wouldn't do a thing where it's like, here's your power, and then
S-
like, yeah, guess what? We've outlived this arc, therefore your power doesn't mean anything now. Where
Structurally, I wish this show would have done a lot of shit different.
yeah, with okay, that's fair. Let's get on to the good shit, because
Yeah.
like these four
So,
episodes, like honestly, that's pretty much my only complaints. That shit right there, like Master of Logos being hammy, like way too hammy, and then like the powers having like no purpose at this point. And besides that, like everything else is fucking great. So let's get to the good shit then.
okay, so Blades realizes that Master Logos is the true enemy, and gets ready to fight him. And then Master Logos laughs and summons his personal bodyguard, Kamen Rider Durandal. Uh, what's his name? Shindai Ryoga, Reika's brother, uh, the Swordsman of Time. And his book is a water themed one because time is like an ocean inside a river, inside a whale or something.
Oh, that's pretty good. Oh, that is pretty good. I mean, I was gonna say it's like that is cool, because like it kind of just feels like, oh, Master Logos, like you see like like Reika is pretty devoted, but like her brother is like even
Oh,
more like, fuck off, there's no questioning,
he
everything that Master Logos does
he
is
is
good.
completely
J-
brainwashed into this cult.
yeah, which also explains why, like, either why they got those swords, because like Master of Logos brainwashed these two and then gave them the strongest swords, or he found the two people with the strongest swords and brainwashed them,
So
right? Because you have like Reika, who's basically invincible, like no attacks can physically hurt her for the most part. And then it's like, okay, if you even manage to fucking somehow beat that, here's uh
here's a guy
okay,
that you can't tell when or where he's going to attack you from.
yeah, I was gonna say, hey, hey Rai, how does King Crimson work?
I think it works exactly like this.
Like
Like
that's when I was watching this, I'm like, oh my god,
when I was
this
watching,
is the meme.
right? It's like and watching it, it's
I'm like,
like
oh, they saw part five, the anime, and they're like, yeah, that effect, we're copying that effect now.
like and like just
Right.
watching it as an
I
audience
mean,
member. Well,
considering Kronos is fucking Dio, right?
right.
Like the time stop shit they already did
this
with
this is
X8.
the real fight we need. uh,
Oh, Kronos versus what the hell is his name? Durandal?
Durandal.
Oh, that's good. To be fair, fucking Game Genie Amu would win. But I
Uh,
mean, you know, Eyes Over Heaven X8 would obviously win. Um but yeah, yeah,
but yeah,
whatever.
just watching this,
Oh
bef-
dude. No, I just realized something. That form is only from a game, and X8's power is game powered. Therefore, it fits even better. Oh my god.
uh,
Oh
but
man,
yeah,
but seriously.
just watching this as an audience member, like they don't even explain his powers until episode 32, and this is still 29. Just watching as an audience member, it was super clear how his powers worked. Like he's just skipping forward in time, and it's affecting everyone. Like Toma inside the building is close enough to the proximity to like be hit by it, and so like he's walking down the hallway, and suddenly he's 10 feet more further down the hallway. It's like yeah, he just skipped the part where he walked that 10 feet.
Right. I mean, yeah, it's basically like the King Crimson thing, and then I guess when you're like there, it just looks instantaneous
Right, but
because he's only like, like a couple feet, so like he doesn't need to activate it for that long, so you wouldn't notice.
when later on in 32 when Toma it shows us how it's properly
No, no,
done.
no.
It's
Yeah,
like
exactly.
yeah,
Which
no,
is
he's basically removing himself from the scenario, replacing where he's like moving to somewhere else while time continues to move forward, and then he clocks back in.
yeah, basically he's exactly King Crimson, right? Whereas like I feel like the King Crimson thing, the way they show it is this except explained worse. Also, the whole point is like, okay, you could have made this so much easier. You could have just had him be able to see the future like 0 1. I mean, I'm talking about like in JoJo, right? But like you decided to do this nonsense, but like again, Ryder does this slightly better. But again, it's just straight up King Crimson. You're right,
Like
right?
another way to explain it in rider terms is that he's clocking up in short bursts.
Yeah. Okay, so I just thought of something. So we have like 5 seasons of JoJo, right? So you have like okay, Vampire Lord Dio, which is
Hmm.
like 1988 King from Kiva, right?
Oh, I see where you're
Right?
going with
Yeah,
this.
and then you have Cars, which is Ultimate Evolution, and I'm like, who the fuck is that? Like, I can think like maybe the Man in Black, but like, I'll have to think of that. Right.
um,
Part three Dio, and that's Chronos. Part four, okay, Yoshikage Kira, which he just like makes shit explode. That could be like a million writer villains. We'll have to think of one for that.
oh god.
Uh, I mean, technically the arc because like it just infects you and kills you, but like who knows? But yeah, definitely King Crimson is Durandal,
No, I
right?
think if anyone, the arc would be like part two because like the ultimate
Oh,
life form thing, like perfect body kind of thing.
oh yeah. You're right. That could work. Hmm.
Uh, yeah, but
Uh,
like Killer Queen though.
well, his first power is just like explosion, reset, right? So let's see. Uh, well, Ultimate Evolution is technically Kuga's villain. Ah, no, that's just
No,
whatever.
he wasn't the ultimate evolution. They were just he was the strongest amongst his people.
Yeah, that's fair. So I'm like, okay, maybe Agito is possible. Like, Fize has the evolution. Odin has the reset though.
Oh, he does.
Yeah, he does have time reset, and he does kind of just like fucking wreck you if you get too close. So like, yeah, okay. So we've got Odin. I don't think Deno or Kabuto's villains are the same.
No.
Hibiki, no. Uh,
Um, let's see here. Doubles
Blade,
had
well,
like,
Doubles has just fear, right?
yeah, it was like
And
fear or terror or something.
mhm.
Um,
I mean, like White Wizard, no, because I don't think so. Who the fuck is the villain in O's?
uh, so you could pick any of the greed, or you could pick the Doctor.
Hmm. I would say the Doctor ends up being the final villain, right? But
He does end up being the final villain, yeah.
I mean, technically, like Kaito from like
Well,
Gaim is the final villain, but that's more of like a Dio type thing with the rivalry.
yeah, but like the other villains are just generic villains.
Hmm. Yeah,
Um,
I feel like it's gonna be Odin because of the time reset.
uh,
Hmm.
and
Well,
part six
oh
was
wait, no. Doesn't fucking. Oh, I was like, doesn't Drive's villain have that?
oh uh wait, Drive's villain, Heart, or no, the other guy, God,
Freaking.
who was Gold Drive?
Yeah, I don't remember his name, but uh, I can look it up.
Um, but I was going to say, Evolt, uh, because he kept like destroying things with his black hole power.
Oh, and resetting it.
Well, no, but like just the destruction part could match
Hmm.
like the explosions.
I could see evil. Uh, okay. I think we skipped some.
Maybe. Um, Ghost is villain.
Tenjuri Bano. Tenjuri Bano is Gold Drive.
Right, Bono. Dude was whatever.
Fucking psycho. Yeah, I don't remember his powers. I think it's just
He's
he's
just a
just
gold drive.
yeah. Uh,
He doesn't even have all
hmm.
of Drive's powers though.
Yeah. Uh,
He's
well,
just
I mean, like,
he's just
it's
a
it's
boring
gotta
version
be
of the
somebody
main
from O's,
character.
maybe. Hmm. Oh wait. I know. Episode Yellow.
Episode
Uh,
Yellow had
of
Time
Deno.
Cop.
Time Cop, right? Because
Yeah,
like he can see you fucking with it, and he survives. Oh, well, the AI part does. Hmm.
maybe.
All right, let me just think.
Anyways, I think this bit has gone on long enough.
Yeah, I'll just look through it.
Because yeah, we're already 30 minutes in and we're
Oh,
still on.
dude, dude,
Oh,
dude.
what's up?
It's just gonna be Schwartz.
Oh,
Yeah, because like he has the fucking stupid laser powers. It'll just be.
I in
I
all
know
the
you don't even think about him, right?
all yeah no that's exactly it though. In all of the writers that I was just thinking about, I completely forgot Zio existed in that entire
It's
conversation.
true. It's true. It's terrible.
Like I went from build to 0-1.
Right. I think we covered. Oh, uh, well, there. Like we didn't cover Ghost, but like Ghost villains kind of more of like a Gestalt thing going on, where it's like um he just grows stronger and then like okay, imagine um the arc, just a slightly different version,
Yeah,
not
ghost
as
villains
good.
are complicated, but not in a good way.
Yeah, true. And yeah, so it's just gonna be short. It's the only one that makes sense at that point. So basically it just goes 1988 Kiva. Um, who the hell did we say for cars?
The arc.
The Arc, yeah, the Arc to Kronos to Schwartz to Kamen Rider Durandal.
And part 6 was just announced. I don't know anything about part 6 though.
Yeah, I don't know anything about Part 6 either. Well, I mean, I know stuff. I don't know
Uh,
who the
well,
well.
I literally only
Oh,
know
Pucci.
that it's Jolene, right?
Yeah,
That's her name.
Jolene,
Yeah,
and
that's
then
all I know.
yeah, and then the main villain I think is Pucci, who used to work with Dio. His powers, instead of slowing down, it's just to accelerate things to like light speed.
All right, well there you
I,
go. There's your Kabuto.
yeah, yes, that's true. It's K something.
Pick a
Let me.
worm. It
Is
literally
that his
doesn't matter
name?
which one.
No, no, no. I know, but like his thing is like he has perfect speed, right? Um, what is that dumbass villain's name?
Which one? The late
The
se-
final villain in Godspeed Love.
Oh, in Godspeed Love? I don't know.
Yeah, let me see who it is.
I remember there was Kamen Rider
Allies.
Kakakis.
Yes, that one. Yes. Yeah, that's it. Kamen Rider Kakakis would be part six's villain. He's basically a Reverse Flash, also. Um, but, but there you go. There's the JoJo lineup. I know we're
We spend way too much time on that, so thank you for bearing through it.
a very important thing, which is nobody fucking remembers Yo. Right?
That's what we learned from that.
That's what we learned from that.
Huh.
Oh my god.
Alright.
Yes,
So,
sorry.
wrapping up episode 29, Toma goes to help Rintaro and rescue him from Durandal. Uh, he gets his ass kicked, but discovers a new power, which is a self defense mechanism where he just turns into fire and flies away.
Yeah, well, it's not his power. I think it's just that Savage
It's
Dragon wants to protect him
Yeah,
now.
that's literally what it is. But yeah, it's a self-defense mechanism.
I do kind of like how that comes back into play in later couple episodes, where it's like every rider's power up form recently has like a special ability, where his is just pure defense, where it's like, nope, I'm noping the fuck out of here. Which is nice because like generally that's what the villains do. Where it's like, oh shit, I'm about to lose, like gotta run. But it's like, yeah, technically like the villains and everybody is getting like super strong at this point. So it's like, yeah, it's good to have this, especially because like there's really no point in giving him an offensive power because like one, he's pretty strong, and two, he's got like a crew of like five other dudes, right? Like offense would kind of just make it like way too busted. So it's good to give him a defensive ability. Anyway,
Anyways,
30 and 31.
um, but yeah,
These are really good too,
and
right?
Caliber frees Sophia, who returns to Northern
Oh
Base,
yeah.
and she's shocked to
No,
learn that it's Kento.
that's true. That's true because she thinks it's the older
Yeah, she's
Caliban.
like Kamijo Daiji. Wait, Espada, why you?
Which is interesting, right? Um, and then you get like a new effect in this, which is like Sophia changes color now whenever the monster attacks. She kind of gets like this purple outline thing going on, right? Because she like the book is May has the book. Therefore, like she just fully just senses it with her body. Also, you figure out that like the northern base, I think that's the next episode, but like the northern base has like the barrier is there because they're using the book's power. But I'm like, oh, that's interesting. So she doesn't have it, but then she gets attacked and she has like her own personal barrier. So I'm like, oh, okay. So either she like absorbed piece of it or she just naturally has that. That's interesting.
Just
Um,
borrowing its power.
maybe. It's also interesting that like out of everyone, like Sophia's the only one who calls blades by calling him blades.
Yeah, because Sophia calls everyone by their rider name.
Yeah, that's kind of interesting. Um, that's cool. I mean, the actress is back. She doesn't get to do too much, but like there's a lot of shit going on. At least she's back, which is good. You also kind of see that like Reika is kind of not as like batshit crazy as like the other two people that she's working with, which is like I mean like she's still gonna follow orders, but like out of the out of like Master of Logos and her brother, like she's definitely like right at the edge of like what the fuck are you people on about, right? I mean by the end of 32 at least, which I was not expecting. But I guess that's like the whole point of bringing a character like Durandal to just show that it's like, yeah, you thought this person was like drinking the Kool Aid, and like then so, oh, that was basically Rentro, right? Where it's like Espada tells Rentro is like, what the fuck, right? And then you get like Reika, which is like even more crazy, and then you get Reika's brother, who's even more crazy. It's like, oh, okay, yeah, this is just a cult now,
Yeah,
right?
and Rinchiro
Um,
got out.
Yeah, finally, but like barely because like they fucking almost got murdered like super hard,
Right? Yuri
right?
had to bail them out.
Dude, like that's the other thing. Like the fights are so good. They're like every single fight has like different like camera angles and like something unique going on. They even use that thing where it's like, oh, the character gets kicked and they like slide across the ground for the second time. I'm like, oh, that's cool. The one thing that kind of annoys, well, maybe not annoys me, is like I'm like, oh, I don't know if that's the smartest idea. Is like they get up and it's like doing that like dramatic like getting up where they're like barely getting up and they're like holding on to something. The problem is they always do it with their damn swords, right? Where it's like they have the point of the sword just like pointing at the ground and they're using it as like a cane to get up. I'm like, wouldn't that slip, right? Like, what if you just like slip, bro? You're just going to impale yourself. I know these swords are like fucking foam swords, which are like 4 times as thick as a normal sword, but like oof, every time I see that, I'm like, oh man, that's fucking dangerous. But I mean, like the show's kind of going for a dramatic moment, but but to get to that moment, you have like all these awesome ass fights, and like Rentro like fucking acts. Okay, I will give like you can see him straining to act,
Right.
but I'm like he's giving his all, man. And he's getting good moments. And like Toma's getting good moments because he basically turns into the support writer in these 4 episodes, right? Whereas like Rentro's the main. And they do such a good job, which I was thinking, right? Like normally like the last like super supportive writer duo is like Build and fuck. Like Sento and Banjo, right? And like they're pretty good, but I feel like Saber and Blades are probably like the pinnacle of like good supporting writers, where it's like, yeah, like there's no like competition or anything. Like these guys generally want to save each other and help each other out, and like this is pretty rare, right? And it's like, yeah, we had this in the beginning of the show, but like now you actually get to see them and like they're all both trained up, they're equally skilled, they're fighting and they're like barely holding on, but they're like fighting to protect each other and stuff. And I'm like, that's so well done. Anyway, I've been talking for way too long. Do you have
Yeah,
any thoughts on this? And of course, we didn't talk about the main thing, which is like May getting kidnapped and stuff, and that's a really interesting thing too.
I'm gonna be
But
honest.
we'll
I've
get
been
to.
waiting for you to take a breath.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
um, but yeah, no. Rentaro returns to the organization, and like he confirms that like, oh, Master Logos is the true enemy, and like he gives his heartfelt and teary-eyed apology to everyone for everything he did, and they're all like, "Idiot, we've already forgiven you. Now here, have your first eclair. You still haven't eaten one yet, right?"
Oh, that was such a great like throwback reference and everything. I was like, this is such a wholesome moment. Um, Continue, I guess.
Um, and just like the way that like they feed it to him and how he like is recovering from everything that happened about how like the organization was his family but they betrayed him basically, and how how all of his friends have accepted him for who he is and such. Just a really solid
Yeah,
moment.
yeah. Um, I do like it does kind of perfectly match his character, whereas like Rentaro definitely takes everything onto himself, like way too much. And so, like, of course, this is affecting him way more than like normally anybody would. I mean, to be fair, this is pretty traumatic shit. Um, but it kind of feeds into what happens in this two-parter where like May gets turned into the monster, where it's like he like takes it way harder because normally you'd think, oh right, he's back to the good guy side. They should all get along now. But it's like, no, like he's just on a guilt trip, like a super hard guilt trip. So he like even then like he can't. It like they magically don't become like the best team ever or whatever. It's like yeah, he's still got like issues to work out, right? And then which leads into the thing I was talking about, which is like, oh, what? How do you solve problems in Saber? Oh, that's right, we just sword fight,
Yeah, pretty much.
pretty much. Um, but the like honestly, like May getting turned into the monster, it's super interesting
And it
because
was
it's like I'm like, holy shit, are they actually willing to fucking kill her off? Because like she was like 90% there, right?
yeah.
Like
Sorry. Uh,
yeah, like she was basically fucking almost turned. Like she's probably
yeah.
come almost like she definitely I think has come the closest to turning at this point.
No, there was one person that came closer than her. The very
Okay.
first person that Toma saved, because he didn't know that Yuri could separate them. So
Oh
he
right, right,
let it finish and then destroyed the book at the moment of completion.
right. Yeah, that's a good
And
point.
Yuri went, "That was reckless. Why didn't you just use me to separate them?" And Toma was like, "Say that sooner!"
Oh man, I do remember that. That's when they like all get busted up by the end, and Yuri just heals their injuries. Ah, fuck, that was a really good episode too. But I feel like these two parters are better because like it just kind of reminds you of like how important May is to the team dynamic of like she's pretty much holding this team together, especially since Sophia was gone. Um, and then it also shows kind of that thing where it's like the monsters either kind of say your like insecurities or just like the opposite of what you think. So it's sort of kind of like phantoms in Wizard where it's like this is not 100% representative. Like they're not like the greed in O's, where the greed is like, oh, this is the thing you wanted. Now I want this like 200%, right? And it's just like your whole personality turns into the thing you want. Whereas like the thing with the phantoms are like this is like a broken, fucked up image of you,
And
right?
I just realized something. Uh,
Yeah,
they
go ahead.
couldn't they couldn't attack her the monster head on because it's like, oh, she's turned people into jewelry, so we can't risk destroying them. I just realized that happened because May was working on little like pins of all her friends.
Yeah, it's true. I guess that's what was on her mind when she got infected, right?
Holy shit, that is must be one of the most clever things Saber has done.
Yeah, I mean, to be fair, like the weirdest part too is when she's working on the pins, I'm like, oh, okay, so this is a P brand, I think. This is gonna be in the eShop somewhere. But then, you're right, they definitely wrote it such an amazing plot line based on that. That I'm like, I'm not even mad. You know, you
I
made these
I'm
work.
genuinely impressed. Good job.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, it was super good. And like, oh man, May feeling like she's done for, and she's basically like, "Fuck it, save yourself, don't risk your life." Um, that was man, like honestly, it's this is one of those weird things because it's like it's hard to talk about because like what are you gonna talk about? Like it's literally just like
And like the monster
saying what happened in the episode. It's like yeah, it's because everything was good in that two-parter,
and the monster's
right?
like taunting Rintaro by like saying the opposite of whatever May is thinking. Like, oh, this is what she's saying. She thinks you can't do it.
Yeah, pretty much. That was great. I also like it explains Zuos's mentality, where it's like, oh, I want to fight the water swordsman, right? And it's, and then he's like, oh, so you ready to go? It's like, no, I can wait. And then it's like, why? It's like, oh, that guy beat me once, and I don't like that, so I want to keep fighting him because like it makes me stronger. And then so it's like every attack he sees, he can't, if he survives it, he'll just keep getting stronger and stronger.
Right,
And
it's
I'm
like
like,
the
oh,
same
that's
attack
cool.
won't work on him twice. Like, alright, I've seen through your tricks.
Yeah. And like the coolest thing too is like, yeah, he lets them live, and you're like, what the fuck? It's because like, yeah, it's fun fighting you guys, right? Because like he still feels like they're not a threat to him, but it's like as long as you keep getting stronger, it'll just keep making me stronger. Right? So it's like, oh, it perfectly puts all of his actions in the past in care, right? Because like, why are you being so inconsistent? Why are you letting everybody just live? Because like there's no benefit for him to kill them, right? Like they can get stronger, which would make him stronger, right? Like he only gets pissed off when you beat him, which explains kind of like why he beat, like he fought the previous, like user of blades, I guess, because like I guess technically he would be the strongest or maybe the most reliable, right? Like it's kind of hard to tell what the power scale back then was, but I feel like he was definitely like Blades' master. Seems like the type of dude who was like maybe not the strongest, but definitely like the most reliable, or at least like the one who could like outthink everyone. Because like when Rintaro finally gets his new form and he's thinking back to his master, and his master is kind of just like, yeah, good, you finally achieve like the level I expected you to be. You know, you achieved like the thing you should have been able to get. I mean, like I'm saying it a lot more harshly than the way his master said it, but like I feel like this dude was on this level, and that's why Zuos wanted to fight him,
Right.
right? Whereas like all the other guys, like they're strong, but like they could slip up and get killed, and like that's no fun. Whereas like I feel like Rentro's master was probably like how Rentaro is now, which is like he's pretty fucking clever, right? And therefore, like that's how he lived. He wasn't the strongest, but he could like definitely come back. And like, and because Zuos's thing is like, I seen your attack, it won't work. Like the way he lived is like, oh, he would have to keep coming up with new shit
Right.
until
And
he couldn't anymore.
and with the whole like freeing Maid thing, like Rentaro's big obstacle is like he's so desperate to save her because he doesn't want to lose her. And so he's like pleading like to Toma like you got to do it, you got to do it. Well, if you can't do it then I'll try to do it, but he can't. Uh
Right.
which nearly gets him killed. Should have gotten him killed if Toma didn't save him.
Yeah, I do like how he learns from that, where it's like, okay, yeah, like Toma is not just swinging his sword. He's not some magical prodigy. I mean, he is, but like he's carrying the fucking weight of the world on his shoulders just like you, buddy. Asking him to rush things does not fix the problem, right? Like he's not the same person you knew when you left to go join the southern base, right? Like he had to fight and survive, so he knows when to take his time now.
And yeah, that basically culminates in Rinto realizing like Toma can't do this alone. I can't do this alone. Why I We shouldn't be trying to leave this to one person. We should be working on this together. And they train together to figure it out until they can rescue May together.
Yeah, that's such a great moment too. Like it's one of those weird things where it's like, man, don't have time for this? But like it kind of feeds into the story of like Rentero's rushing, whereas Toma's like, no man, relax. We can do this, but we got to work together. We can't just rush through there. And then like Rentero at that point like wants to fight him because again, this is what happens in Saber. But it kind of makes sense because like at that point, the thing he was missing was confidence. Because like his confidence was shattered, so he just needed to be like, oh yeah, I'm at least on Saber's level.
And
Like I can see what he's putting up with, right? Like we can resync up.
and he was
So I
broken
can understand.
because like he just lost the organization, so he effectively like, just lost his family. So it's like he didn't want to lose May too, so he was super desperate to try and hold on to that he couldn't think clearly.
Yeah, that's fair. That's a good point. Also, I do love when they're done fighting and they're just like lying there. I mean, like that reminded me of a couple different scenes. I mean, like I guess a little bit of Blade, but the thing, or not Blade, build. But the thing it definitely reminded me is like that moment in Kabuto in like the end of the second last arc where it's like once like like when Tendo is not a fucking asshole for once, he learns to not be like that, and like Kagami is like finally become confident enough, and like they're sort of on a similar enough level, and they beat the like main bad of that arc, and they're just on the roof like exhausted, but they're like on equal footings and stuff. I'm like, oh, this is what the show is leading up to, and then the final arc happens, and like all that goes out the window. But like, yeah, there's this like really good moment. It's like the end of the second last arc in Kabuto, and that's what this reminded me of. Um, yes, but anything else about? I mean, honestly, like 30 and 31 are like I don't know, man. All four of these are good, but like I
Yeah.
feel like there's nothing you can take out of 31 and 32. Or, I mean, 30 and 31. They're really good. Like it even ends with like the comedic exit of Mei because like they go to this whole point of like she's their son, right? Whereas
Right.
like she brings brightness into their world because like all they do is like fight monsters, right? They need somebody who's like, which like even Toma kind of reflects on like, oh yeah, like Mei is this person ever since like the first time I met her. Like she was like always cheering us up and all that, and I was like, that was such a good moment. And then like she gets separated, and she does like the comedic landing thing too. I'm like, oh, fucking perfect.
And I
The
was
show knows what it's doing.
and I was thinking about it. It's like May has been a great character just for that role. Like she provides a sense of normalcy for the riders, where like she's always cheering them on. She's always keeping them motivated and in high spirits. Like she brings them eclairs. She makes them gifts. Like she is their confidant, someone they can just talk to because she's not a rider. She's not out there fighting. So she's someone that they can just get this out to.
Okay, so this is kind of crazy, but episode 29,
Yeah,
um, written by Hisegawa Keiichi and directed by Koichi Sakamoto,
yeah.
right?
The big Durandal fight.
3031.
Yeah,
Yeah. Fukuda Takeru, writer, director Ishida Hideori. So that's 3031. 32 is Yuchida Hiroki is the writer, and director is Sugahara Teruyuka. So
these
this
were
is
all different
fucking
people.
yeah, they're all different people, and like every single fight has been good. Directing wise, right? Writing wise, they're all good. The fucking crazy shit is 30 and 31 is written by the main writer of Coast and the main writer of this show.
Yeah, yeah, he's the
Uh,
main writer for this show. Like
but like he's
Ghost.
not. We were like before this 25, 26, right? Is no, yeah. The one he wrote before this 25, 26, Crimson Assassin wrapped in smoke into the darkness with the blade, right? Not the strongest, right? 27, 28, pretty good.
Ghost
29, pretty good.
Ghost did have some really strong character moments during its highest points.
Oh, yeah, that's a good point. But I feel, I don't know. I don't remember enough about. I feel, yeah, it was strong, but I'm like, damn, like, out of all the writers, like, I was not expecting this dude to pump out 30 and 31.
Right.
That's kind of crazy. Uh, Director wise, right. Well, actually, fuck it. We don't even care. All the directors did a great job,
Yeah, you were talking about
right?
how like all the fights felt different. Like there you go.
Well, yeah, but it's more like all the fights felt different, but they're like different but still good. Like every single fight has something unique going on in it, right? And yeah, like three different directors. But I feel like also is like there's not so much comedy, so it's just like straight Kamen Rider plot. Like shit's happening, you got to deal with it. Therefore, it's like less to fuck up, but like I that's kind of crazy, right? I mean, like I get that because like they write in 2 episode parts, like two like a director and a writer will work on 2 episodes and then they switch and then they switch. So it makes sense, but it's like to have like okay, let's take 28 into this, right? Because like it's the whole Blades arc, right? So that's like 5 episodes, right? By like three different writers and three different directors, and it's all flows like perfectly. It's kind of madness, right? Like this show hit like a really good point that it flows so damn well.
All right, we've hit an hour, so we need to wrap this up. So episode
Yeah.
32, the villains
Uh
launch an attack on Northern Base.
yeah, before that though, I there's one part that happened which we can talk about is like
The
let's just
key.
get this out. I was going to say the Kenzan shit
Oh,
where it's like yeah, Sophia sends Buster to go recruit Kenzan and then oh man,
Disaster's just
what
following
this
Kenzan around. Like,
disaster is just
you
following him
sure
around.
you don't want my help? You sure about
Oh my
that?
god, that's like that is the most nonsense I've seen this show do.
And Buster catches up to him and is like, "Hey, the real enemy is Master Logos. We need to go fight him." And Kenzan is like, "Piss off! I don't care about that. I'm still
And
moping
he's like,
over
"Hey man, like
Caliber."
yeah, Sparta can't be mad at you forever. Let's work to bring him in or whatever, or work together." And he's like, "Fuck off! I don't want to deal with this shit right now," which is crazy. I'm like, okay, yeah, let's put it out there. Like, Kenzan
Actually,
probably had the weakest acting, right? I did not want him to be written off the show. So like when he comes back, I expect him to get a good goddamn plotline show. Because this way of fixing the problem of like, oh yeah, he was the problem character, let's just throw him away. It's like that is fucking lazy. And I do not accept that. So he better have a good arc when he comes back. Right?
does he have anything else going on?
I don't think so. Like he barely shows up. Oh, you mean like the
The
actor?
actor, yeah. Does he have like does he have anything that would like keep him off the show that they would do this?
Um okay, I can look that up. You keep talking.
Okay, so here's the situation for episode 32. Uh, the southern base had a fragment of the Book of All Knowledge and Power, which Toma turned into the primordial dragon and then elemental dragon. Uh, the northern base has its own one of those, where it's a fragment of the Book of All Knowledge and Power, and so Master Logos wants to steal that. So he sends the Shindai siblings to go and steal the swords from the swordsman, and collect their Wonder Red books because he needs those. And in the shadows, he colludes with Storius, who sends Zeus to go and steal that fragment of the book. So you've got basically a pincer maneuver happening at Northern Base, and Sophia has to retreat to the book chamber to use its power to like try and put a barrier up to protect the base, which fails.
Yeah. Um, I'm looking. I don't really see anything. I mean, the one interesting thing is he works for the same agency that say Sento from Build works with.
Yeah,
But that's all I.
well,
Acting wise, I don't know. He doesn't look like he's doing much, or at least like on this wiki. Let me see if there's any Japanese. Hmm,
yeah. I was thinking like, oh, maybe there was like a scheduling conflict with the actor, and so they just wrote him off.
okay. Hmm.
Because otherwise, the character has been the least important to this show. And if they're just setting him up to be a villain later on, and teaming up with Disaster, uh, I'm gonna be honest, they're doing a poor job of it, and not in the sense that they're doing a poor job of setting it up, in the sense that they're just doing a poor job in the execution because it's a bit too on the nose, and we don't really need this right now. There's a lot
Yeah,
of other
I
shit
don't
going
know.
on.
All I see is oh shit. Huh. Um yeah, like all he's doing is writer. That's all I can think of. So like I don't know what's going on with him.
I think they're just trying to foreshadow, like, oh, he's upset because he of his friend, and so he's gonna turn evil because of that.
Yeah, I'm not the biggest fan of this,
Oh, his
but
swords got sealed, so there's that.
oh yeah. I guess
Uh,
that is a good point. Like, okay, if they do that plot line where he comes back and he like
yeah,
unseals his sword.
yeah. Slash and Kenzon's swords are sealed. I thought Buster's was sealed too, but he transforms this episode, so I guess not. I guess I was mistaken.
No, Buster just got thrown out of a building. That's all.
That's all.
That's all. I mean, he we can't have him in the show. There's too much going on. Also, like fucking Zuas got like a new suit, right? And like,
Yeah, like
dude,
off
that thing looks
camera.
fucking menacing in some
I
shots.
think it was supposed to be like the same thing Legiel did, where he like
Yeah, yeah.
went too far, but they just kind of cut that part out.
Well, it sort of makes sense too because like he says he gets stronger, so maybe he got his ass kicked and he got stronger,
Oh yeah,
or maybe he,
he did get
yeah.
defeated by Saber and Blades. So
So yeah, it's possible. Also, like, I'm kind of impressed how fast they pulled out a new suit, but I guess maybe they had this coming if they already had this plot line going. But yeah, like I guess he's gonna go on his journey to fix his sword, which like again, at least he has a plot line. Or he's just gonna show up and it's like, yeah, I've got my swords working now. Um, which kind of sucks, but like, yeah, I don't see anything else going on. But like again, I don't speak Japanese; kind of hard to figure out. Looks like all he's got is Kamen Rider stuff right now. Um, who knows? But Northern Base gets attacked, dude.
yeah,
Also, Master of Logos breaks the barrier with an arrow. I'm like, that is fucking genius.
using a
Because like, go ahead.
using a fraction of the Book of All Knowledge and Power.
Yeah, yeah. He just used one of the sacred arrows from Inuyasha. That like Kagome and Kikyo use. Um, and I guess they're kids. I don't know, man. I've seen like 4 episodes of the new Inuyasha show. It's actually pretty good. But it's like
There's a new
I'm kind of
one?
at the
Oh,
yeah,
right.
yeah.
I forgot.
It's like Sesshomaru and Inuyasha's kids. It's actually really good. At least for as much as I've seen like 4 episodes. There's more, but like the point I'm at, it's kind of like, well, is it Inuyasha and Kagome's kid? Like, it's definitely Sesshomaru's kids. Like, it's probably their kids. Like, there's no way it could be anything else. Um, it's interesting to see like Kohaku all grown up now. Whereas like he's leading the demon slayers. I'm like, oh, that's cool. Kaede doesn't age. Also, fucking Kagome's grandpa doesn't age either. I was like, oh my god, it's the same designs. It's fucking great. Uh, Kagome's brother is like all grown up. I'm like, oh, that's cool. Seeing him as like an adult, I'm like, that's such a fucking cool callback for a character. Anyway,
Anyway,
yeah,
so,
yeah. Like I
uh,
was saying, it's really cool that Master Logos uses like an arrow because like yeah, he has the swordsman, which are like close range things, but his thing is like long range support, so he doesn't need a sword. I was like, that's fucking genius. I wish that effect looked a little bit better because like goddamn, that like
it,
CGI fucking arrow looks
it
so
was
cheesy.
it
I mean,
was
not
good
not
enough.
hitting the barrier. Hitting the barrier looked fine.
Oh, yeah, that
When
was
he
great.
launched it in the frame with the actor, I'm like, man, this looks way too cartoony.
And I love, like, what the setup that they do here. Because Yuri joins in to help Toma fight against Reika and Durandal. What the fuck is. Oh, Sabella. Sabella and Durandal. Um, and he's just like, aren't you secretly working with the Megiddo? That's why you showed up with them, isn't it?
Right,
And Durando's just like, ignore him. He doesn't know what he's trying to trick us. But then later on, Sabella, after she stole the swords, notices like, wait, there is a Megiddo here. Why is there a
right.
Megiddo here at the same time we're here?
Yeah, I do love that moment. I mean, honestly, like all the shit that happens in the northern base attack is really good. I mean, okay, first of all, it's just a southern base set, like the second half of the southern base set, except they just changed the
They,
banners to be blue
they were
instead of
always
red.
the same set. Like the library setting was just the same set with the table removed.
Oh, that's true. Well, and then they put banners like fabric over the railings to cover like the banisters and like the in between stuff. But yeah, you're right. It's the same set, but
Which
this is
makes
basically the same hallway or like hotel lobby or whatever the hell this is,
and it makes sense
right?
because same architecture.
Yeah, it's true. But I'm like, oh man, they just changed the banners to the other one. But like that attack is great too because like the fight is pretty intense. Like um I do like how I mean it's to be fair, it's kind of fucking hard to fight Sabella, and then like Durandal is even more crazy, so it does sort of make sense why like Slash and Buster I think get their weapons stolen because like well Slash's thing was already sealed, it's not working, so like he can barely do that much, and they're barely like holding off um
Yeah,
anyone in the like secret room thing. And then like Buster kind of got his shit kicked in. I mean, even though we don't really get to see it because like it's like a 20-minute show, right?
right. So yeah, Sabella gets rid out of the fight so she can go steal some swords, leaving Toma and Yuri to figure out how to defeat Durandal, with Toma developing the power to see his movement during the frozen time.
Yeah, he basically gets his. I was gonna get say Sharingan, but it's like white, it's a Byakugan, I guess. Um,
I
yeah,
think I think Sharingan would actually be more appropriate because he's seeing things that are moving too fast for him to normally see.
maybe it's fuck. What the hell is the? Not the Renegan, the like super Byakugan, like Tensai something, blah blah.
What?
Whatever. There's like, so you know how like the Sharingan has like the other form. It's like M something Sharingan, which is like the super strong form, right? So
No.
like the Byakugan is like has another form like that
Where
too,
did
because
this
like the
come from?
yeah, this is like the final arc where you figure out like uh that like Naruto is basically like chakra is like they all have chakra because they're descendants of
It's,
basically an alien being.
yeah, I know
Right.
that part.
Yeah. So like her eyes are the Byakugan eyes. So like her descendants have like the weaker version of her eyes, which is the Byakugan thing. So like she has like a super strong version of that.
Uh,
And yeah, so
why?
like the six paths thing is like the Renegan, which splits into the Sharingan and the Byakugan. But like the Sharingan has like a stronger form, and like the stronger form of the Byakugan is her eyes, basically. Right? So I
Why
know
is
it's fucking
Naruto?
stupid
Why is Naruto so convoluted? It's a
because it
dumb
went for
show
like
about ninjas.
yeah, because it went for like 20 years with no planning, I guess.
Like that
Honestly,
fine.
like the eye shit would work if it was like a whole different show. But like when you add the eye stuff on top of everything else, it kind of just breaks everything. Because like the Sharingan shit is so interesting by itself. That's why there's like so many forms of it, right? Because like it's such an interesting idea.
Whatever.
But it's like this is like what happens when you crash two different show ideas into one.
Let's just talk about how awesome it is when Renchiro kicks Zeus's ass.
Yes.
So
Yes.
yeah, the book,
Because that form
the
oh
frag
yeah.
the fragment of the book of all knowledge and power they're protecting becomes a new book for Renchiro to use when he finds his conviction that even in the face of death, he is fighting to protect his friends.
Yeah, and the only thing I could think of, I mean, that's a really good point. That was such a good moment,
Because, like,
right?
Sophie asks him, like, what do you fight? She tells him to take the book and run, and is saying, like, what do you fight for? And Rintaro chooses to stay because this is what he fights for.
Yeah, that's such a great moment where it's like Toma's thing is like kindness essentially, whereas like Rentaro is like loyalty pretty much sort of thing. So like they both get the book, and which was such a good moment. But that kind of reminded me of something funny where it's like, man, this show really needs Waz, right? Because it's all about books and like it has such great forms. I'm like, man, I just need him to come and announce shit.
And, so you were complaining about Master Logo spilling everything to Rintaro,
Yeah.
but now Rintaro has awakened that part of the book, and then he, like, pulls Durando out, like, oh, that's enough, you don't need to keep fighting anymore.
Yeah. See, I'm
This
like,
this
this is
is
such shady shit. Go
this is
ahead.
what he wants. Like, it's basically the evil plan of, like, I need the heroes to get stronger and awaken the power for me so that I can just go and take it from them.
Yeah, well, I feel like he wasn't expecting them to activate the book, but he's like, well, I mean, it did what I wanted anyway. I would have to activate the book at some point. So might as well have them have it,
It,
activate it, because it makes it easier to take it away.
right. It's like
Right? Because now they can't guard it.
when he let uh Storia steal the other book and then led Toma to the same place so Toma could take it and awaken
Oh,
it.
yeah, that's
And then he
true.
told Sabella, like, no, let Toma keep that book because Toma can fully awaken it.
Oh, yeah, because like that's right. Primitive Dragon is the book from the Southern Base. Shit, I totally almost forgot that.
Right. So that was basically the same situation here. Like, he launched the raid for the book, hoping they would use it to defend themselves, and they did. That's what I'm inferring. It could be bullshit.
No, that makes sense. That makes sense. I also feel like I mean it. We do get something interesting. Like honestly, like fights great, the invasion's great. You covered all the Durandal and Sabella stuff, which is pretty good. Um, the one stinger you kind of get throughout this is like, oh, you see how closely like Storius uh
Master
and Master
Logos.
of Logos are working now. Also, Storius got a new book, which is like
Yeah,
frost themed, and I'm like, oh, was this also in the northern base? Like, what's
I
up with
I
that?
don't know, but like they didn't use the key that they took from May to get in. So I'm wondering if that's what that key was
Oh,
for.
Maybe. I mean, that would also explain like he's gonna get his power up form because like, well, everybody else is gone now, right?
Mm.
He needs something to power himself up with. Or
And
maybe he's hoping that like this is his key to like take out Master of Logos because like eventually, like once Master of Logos and him take out everybody else, they'll have to turn on each other because both of these people are like way too power hungry to just be like, oh yeah, let's just share it. Right? Like there's like zero chance in hell these guys are like, oh yeah, let's both get the power.
yeah, no, they're gonna stab each other in the back.
Right. So, and considering Master of Logos still has like two goons on his side, like I feel like he needs this. So it'll be interesting to see what that book is. Um,
And
but is there anything else, or do you want to talk
Zeus's
about the floor?
defeat,
Oh
when
yeah,
like halfway through the fight, he goes turns from fighting to trying to run away, and Rintaro's like, "No, bitch, you can't get away."
yeah. I love how he throws that giant ass sword too. I'm like, fuck yeah. Use the environment. That's so great. And
And
then it's like, oh, okay, so you're running away. Here, let me just fly. Oh, that's not working. You're going on the ground. Whatever, I can dodge it. Oh, in the water. Good luck.
I can
Right?
swim.
Yeah. Hey, my power is water. You're surrounded. You're in the Arctic, idiot.
Uh,
Right? Like this is the one place I'm super powerful.
and then when he's defeated, he reverts to a human one last time to say, "You're strong. Let's
Let's
fight
fight.
again
Yeah.
soon."
Yeah, I do like how it kind of like when they're defeated, they kind of give um like their a bit of their true personality, like the thing with May where it's like, oh, whatever was on your mind is the type of monster you become, right? Where it's like, oh, he's just the dude who likes fighting a lot, like he's basically oh fuck, who's the lion from Zoojer, not Zoojer, yeah, Zoojer, the cube one.
um, I know who you mean.
Yeah, yeah,
Jewel
names are hard.
Lion.
Yeah,
What?
Zero Lion.
Yeah, I don't remember the character's name.
Yeah, 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 it's fine. But basically, his thing of like he likes fighting stronger opponents too. So I'm like, oh, I can see that type of character. It's like it's him, except oh, dude, it's the fucking Wonder World is just the other end of what the fuck is the Zoojer?
The Jew World, Juman World.
You,
I don't
yeah,
know.
yeah, yeah. It's the bad part of the. Oh man. Okay, but yeah, let's talk about the main event. Everything was great and all, but can we talk about the greatest fucking rider suit?
Ugh.
Did we talk about that on air? I don't
Uh,
remember. It's been an hour and 20 minutes.
I think we did. The white suit, because we were talking about the belt.
Ah, yeah,
Yeah, we
yeah.
talked about that in air. We talked about the suit already.
Honestly, I kind of really love its powers too, where it's like I love the fucking wings thing, where like he uses it to fly and then he just uses it as like ice daggers.
Right. I love
Right?
that concept.
Yeah, it was so good. Um,
And
holy shit,
and
man, that
then
suit is so nice.
and then
I
after.
love how he saw his master too, where it's
Right, I
like,
was
yeah, this
about to
is
say
perfect
that,
completion.
where
Yeah, go ahead.
yeah, he sees the vision of his master, who's like, congratulations, you found true strength. That book contains the spirit of like past like swordsmen.
Yeah, it's a very Garo moment, but like fuck, it works so well. I also love that like shot of like it just turns to energy of like Zuos is going and like his master, and then it just cuts back and it's like, oh, it's just young Rentaro there. I'm like, man, that was shot so well. But fuck, that suit is so good. Like, I hope they don't fucking pull. Like, they do this every season, and I don't like it. Like, don't do it, show. Don't give him another form, which is like, oh, look, this is just like the main hero's final form, which means it's just gonna be a bunch of random crap stapled on to his writer form.
Uh,
Don't do it.
Now, for those of you keeping track at home, uh, the villains are now in possession of 5 of the 11 swords. uh, Sabella and Durandal's personal swords, plus the stolen ones, Slash, Buster, and Espada.
Oh, this total Sparta too. I guess that makes sense because May had it, right?
Yeah,
For a second, I was like, "Oh shit, is May gonna use it?" But I'm like, no.
no. May is not going to transform.
I mean, there's still time, but you're right. Um, yeah. So there's five. Kenzan's blade is sealed.
Yeah, so Kenzon's is over there, and so the other five are with the heroes. Saber, Blades, uh,
Sort of
Psycho.
like,
Yeah, Psycho. Fuck. Oh, there's Caliber on his own.
oh yeah, that's true.
So hold on, they have.
Psycho. No,
Oh,
they don't because like Slash's sword is gone too.
Psycho is the Sword of Light.
Oh, okay.
Psycho is Yuri. So yeah. Oh, Falchion is fucking somewhere.
Who?
Uh,
What? Whose sword
Falchion
is that?
Falchion is the movie exclusive villain.
Oh,
His sword
okay.
counts as one of them. In Caliber's like visions of the world ending and all when all the swords come together, Falchion's is amongst them.
Hmm. Interesting. I mean, it feels like we're gonna transition into. I don't know. I was gonna call it the Calibar arc, but I'm like, we're done the Calibar, like the end of the world arc.
We're not done. We haven't even started.
Yeah, no, no. I mean, like the next arc is gonna start,
Oh yeah,
and we're
yeah,
gonna
that
transition into that next week.
yeah. But yeah, so yeah, the heroes have three swords. There are
Yep.
two that are just off on their own, and then there's one unaccounted for. And spoilers, there might be a 12th one coming.
Yeah, because I'm like, 11's a weird number. It doesn't make sense. I mean, I know like Q Ranger did it, but like Q Ranger is supposed to have nine. It had 11, which is weird to begin with. But
Yeah.
yeah, like for a writer show, generally I feel like they would end on 12 because like 11 just
we
seems like a weird
But
number.
like, yeah, spoilers. But scans indicate a new rider, but we don't have any information, so we don't know if this is going to be in the show or if it's like going to be in a movie exclusive or if they're even going to have one of the swords or what.
Interesting. Um, it will be interesting. Like honestly, if you want to watch Saber and you haven't watched Saber, like go watch the last five episodes, right? Like 18 to 20, I don't know, 32, 32, right? Uh, what the hell are we on? 32, yes. Uh, would be probably like, I would say at this point, like the best run of Saber because like there's almost no fluff and there's like nothing wrong for the most part. Um, we'll see if it holds up, but like it feels like they know what they're doing with the Espada thing too, or I was gonna say Neo Caliber, but I'm like it's like the third Caliber. I don't know, Caliber try, I guess, in the way Japan names shit, right? Because like you have the first one, then you get like Neo, and then usually try. So we'll see.
Um, but to give
Um,
you a quick update, on Falchion, uh, he is the immortal swordsman. His book is The Phoenix.
oh, okay. See, I saw something with what the hell's his name? Kenzan. Kenzan's acting IMDb or whatever had something to do with Phoenix for Kamen Rider Saber. I'm like, oh, I guess that's what that
Oh
is.
yeah, the movie, The Phoenix Swordsman and the Book of Ruin.
Which is weird because like the Sword of Light is already kind of like doing his thing, but I don't know, man. I'm
No, no,
whatever. Maybe they're going
Yuri
like,
Yuri just lived a long time because he became a sword. But the
hmm,
Phoenix Swordsman is immortal because he's a phoenix.
Yeah, all right. Let's just get Phoenix back. He's gonna come back from the sun. Um, it'll be fine or not. We'll see. I mean, like that's a good gimmick, but it's again, it's kind of weird because like
Oh, okay.
Yuri exists.
Okay, I know where the sword is. I know where that missing sword is. I
Sorry, what?
uh you basically Falchion was sealed away for being dangerous. And so the
Uh,
plot of the movie is that he's broken free and is trying to bring the world to ruin. And at the end of the movie, he gets sealed away again. So that's where the sword is.
oh, okay. Yep. So Phoenix just decided to come back, I guess. But that's fair. I mean, to be fair, like he's a swordsman too. Like, did you see that giant ass blade? But hey, cool gimmick, I guess. Right? Like, eventually you'll run into the thing of like weird sword people, and like, there's always like, oh, this is the sword that's too dangerous. We lock it away. It's always a gimmick. So I guess it makes sense. We had one. Also, it's been an hour and a half.
Yeah,
Um,
we're done.
we're done. Um, really good run of episodes. Like, definitely, if you're gonna fucking marathon them, like marathon them, dude. Like, they flow so well. Like these four, I'm guessing if you include like 18, it would flow perfectly fine to into these. Um, fuck, you're right. Like this is pretty much Kamen Rider Blades, right? So that's good. Um, I Hmm. It's weird. Like I want to call this show good, but I'm like I don't know. It's not over yet.
it
Yeah,
it
so I don't want to
started
jinx it.
it started off really rough. It's good right now, but I imagine that by the end of the series, my final rating will be not bad.
Yeah, I feel like this might like if it keeps this quality, it'll be a good show. The problem is like who the fuck has stuck around to this part is questionable. I know people are still here, but like
We're
how
still
many?
here.
Yeah, well, redo a writer podcast, right? And also, the show got so bad, we decided to switch it to monthly,
But I
right?
imagine there's still quite a few people watching it.
Oh yeah, I know people are
Simply
watching.
for the argument of there's nothing else like it on TV.
Yeah, with the pandemic, yes. But to be fair, that's kind of a bullshit argument because there's a lot of good shit coming, like uh, in the next couple
I
of months
specifically
going
mean in terms
for
of
right.
like rider shows, like in terms of a Western audience watching Toku, like
Mm.
there's not a whole lot we get access to.
Yeah. Also, like weirdly enough, this was like the first tokusatsu where they were reaching out to the West, and like Toei has been pushing more and more Western stuff. Like, oh shit, we didn't fucking talk about the good news, right? Right, where it's like, yeah, we're getting more streaming stuff. What the hell got announced? Let me go back to the Discord and check.
Something got
No, I
announced.
think no, yeah, a ton of stuff like the last couple. Right. I mean, we're pretty freaking late to this, but oh god. Okay. So there's gonna be Kamen Rider Double, like the Fuko manga is getting an anime,
Oh,
right? Kamen Rider Black is getting like a new adaptation, so it's Kamen Rider Black Sun is coming out. Um, there's going to be a new Rider movie based on the first Rider, getting directed by Hideaki Anno, called Shin Kamen Rider. Right, so like the 50th anniversary is shaping up to be fucking amazing. Saber actually got its shit together, so that's good. What something got announced in streaming? I don't remember. Uh, no. 01 is getting a Blu-ray, right?
oh yeah. 01 is possibly releasing in the West with a physical release.
Yeah, we. I don't think we have a date yet, but yeah, they said that's getting a these original writer and Kuga are streaming. I don't know if there's DVDs, but I know they're definitely streaming.
Ryuki is in there somewhere.
Oh yeah, yeah, Ryuki's starting to stream also. So it's like, holy fuck, Toei's actually going for it, which
Good.
is kind of crazy, but damn. I mean, like, any thoughts on any of this
Uh,
besides it being fucking amazing?
watch Ryuki.
Yes, watch Ryuki, definitely. Also support Saber when it comes out if you can. I mean, like, if Scalper, buy it up real quick and overprice it, like, I'm not gonna blame
Don't
you,
buy from
right? Like that's
scalpers. Just
yeah, like
refuse.
it's yeah, like it's the same problem as like buying a Rider belt now. It's like, oh look, it's only $600,
Fear of
right?
missing out isn't worth it. If you buy from scalpers, you're only encouraging them. Don't buy from scalpers, period.
Yeah.
You can get that
Uh
PS5 later. You can wait for it.
yeah. As for the new projects like Black Sun, I'm like, holy shit, that's interesting. If they're gonna do something kind of like more mature, like Amazon style, that's gonna be great. I really want to see Shin Kamen Rider because like that poster looks freaking great. Where it's like you see Ichigo walking and like he's injured on his side and just trying to walk through, like that is the tone you want, where it's like, yeah, Kamen Rider, like the early writers are like worker heroes, like they get their ass kicked, man, like especially early on, but they keep like having to get up and fight, and like that is the tone you want. That's great. Especially with Ano, who's like basically a really big like tokusatsu fan, definitely right. Kamen Rider and Ultraman, I want to see what he does. Especially because like early Rider is actually pretty fucking trippy. So like he's a pretty good director for that. I'm excited. Um, but yeah, hopefully 01 gets a decent Blu-ray release so we can finally actually get it. That's good. Maybe the app will actually somehow come in the West too. We'll see. I mean, they're still releasing like the first two episodes of new Kamen Rider stuff, right? So I think like most of Heisei is there now, or at least like definitely more than half of the Heisei writers' first two episodes are on Toei Tokusatsu World thing YouTube channel. So yeah, like I was not expecting Toei to do anything big for the 50th, um, especially because of like how Saber was going and like the pandemic and shit. But like, damn, this like second half, that is an amazing lineup. And yeah, like they said in the announcement, like, let's keep Kamen Rider going to 100 Kamen Rider Century, which is, I'm like, yeah, if they make it to 100, they're fucking gonna name it that for sure, which would be great. But that's all I got to say. Anything else, Ryan?
Nope, that's it. Thanks for joining us tonight, everybody. We'll be back on Tuesday for more Zenkaiger. That show is doing some interesting stuff right now, so it's a good time to watch. And we'll see you in a month for the next arc of Kamen Rider Caliber.
Yeah, pretty much. Um, I just have one question before we go. So last time before we took a break, you were like, Saber is good or decent, but what's that Sentai, the Knights one that just finished?
Ryu Soldier?
Ryu Soldier, right? Comparing current Saber, like the 4 or 5 episode run, to Ryu Soldier,
Kier Major was
as
the one
good.
that was like just ended.
Yeah, sorry, my bad. The 2 years ago.
Okay. Um, so sorry. Comparing current Saber to Ryu Soldier.
Ryu Soldier, because like they have similar ish types of setup, right? Um, Aesthetically, anyway. So, are what
They're
do you
both
think?
about
Is Saber
swordsman.
actually living up to his Kamen Rider Knight potential, like that Sentai did,
No.
or like, did you
No.
think Ryu Soldier still did a better job than
Ryu
Saber at
Soldier
this?
did a better job overall.
Mm-hmm.
So Ryu Soldier though was all about, uh, it was all about teamwork. and cooperation amongst each other. And what it did was it established not just a connection but a goal between the characters. So you start out with like red, blue, and pink, who all just graduated together and became knights and are like out to save the world. But then you have green and black, who have different ideals, and so you kind of have to like convince them to work alongside you instead of against you. And then gold is introduced, and he has a bias against the others because of a war that happened. And then you have like one of the villains, Guy Solg, who has his own like grudge against characters. Like there's a whole thing about cooperation, and this extends to the villains as well, where like you have Creon, who makes the monsters, and then like different generals will come in and take control of him, and they all have their own different objectives. And so when one comes in, another one will usually walk away because they don't want to deal with it, and they just don't work together at all until they you get towards the end when they do start working together towards their own common goals.
Oh, that's actually really interesting.
And the
Uh,
villains are always at their best whenever they do work together, because it really shows how like what they can accomplish, and it
that's
really lets
cool.
their personalities shine in better ways than when they're just stubborn in their own ways.
Yeah, I mean, also it explains like why suddenly this monster is much tougher than before, right? It's like, oh yeah, everybody's actually against you now. Um, whereas in this arc of Saber, do you think it's actually leading to something similar, or like if you would compare it, do you
um
think like Saber is starting to hit that level,
so
or it's getting there?
you could make the argument about like having to convince Rentaro about having to convince everyone to fight alongside Toma, but the difference is that Toma, like, he reached out to them saying like you should fight alongside me, uh, but that's as far as it went. They all took the initiative to like hear Toma out and approach him and go, "All right, show me, convince me." So it's taking a similar concept from a different angle, but that doesn't really seem to be the point of it.
Okay, that's fair. Yeah, so I guess it's a, I guess that's like the biggest like Rider and Sentai difference, right? Whereas like in Rider, you had to pretty much like fight your allies until they become your friends. Whereas Sentai, it's more like, yeah, let's, working together is probably gonna keep us all alive. So let's not do this shit. Whereas
And,
like Rider is like, I can solo this.
and yeah, they're setting up for like a similar storyline with like, all right, now it's Calibur's turn to like be swayed over. But the difference is in execution and overall quality. And when it comes to execution, Ryu Soldier, you have these characters meeting each other for the first time, and so you get your first impressions and how they have to like figure out how they feel about it and all that such. Whereas with Saber, like everyone started out as friends, and then a giant schism happened that tore them all apart, and they're basically reestablishing their friendship.
Yeah, okay, that's kind of cool. It feels like it's basically like Ryu Soldier is like what early Saber should have been, and then like season two is like Ryu Soldier if I guess Civil War happened, right? Um, well, like Marvel Civil War, if anybody's like trying to figure out what the hell I'm going on about. But like, yeah, that's super interesting. Like, I was not expecting it to have such a different take, considering such a similar premise. Anyway, sorry, I made you ramble on way too long. It's like an hour
it,
43
it's
minutes.
fine. But thanks for
But
joining.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Thanks for
Thanks
joining.
for
We'll
joining
see
us.
you next time.
Yeah, well, I will see you people in a month. Hopefully, Saber continues to be good in a month. Otherwise, this would have been the best month for Saber.